The world of professional sports is driven by an insatiable desire to peer into the future, a relentless quest to decode the chaotic variables of human athletic competition before the whistle even blows. Every 4 years, when the FIFA World Cup arrives to capture the undivided attention of billions of people across the globe, this collective obsession reaches a fever pitch that transcends borders, cultures, and languages. Fans drape themselves in their national colors, sports commentators analyze endless streams of historical data, betting syndicates recalibrate their algorithms, and ordinary enthusiasts rely on nothing more than pure intuition and emotional investment to guess who will ultimately lift the legendary Golden Trophy. It is a spectacle defined by its complete unpredictability, where a single mistimed tackle, an unexpected bounce of the ball, or a momentary lapse in concentration can dismantle years of meticulous preparation and break the hearts of an entire nation. This inherent volatility is precisely why football is celebrated as the beautiful game, because on any given day, the underdog can triumph, dynasties can crumble, and the scripts written by experts can be torn to shreds within 90 minutes of high-intensity play. Yet, despite the beautiful chaos that defines the tournament, humanity refuses to abandon the dream of finding a flawless prophetic method, constantly searching for a modern oracle capable of cutting through the noise and delivering absolute certainty in an uncertain world. As the 2026 iteration of the tournament unfolds, capturing the imaginations of millions across host cities and television screens alike, the noise surrounding potential outcomes has reached an unprecedented volume, with everyone desperately looking for a sign of who will reign supreme. Before we dive deeper into the extraordinary mind and the controversial mathematics behind the most talked-about prediction of this current tournament, please take a brief moment to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the fascinating hidden narratives shaping global sports history. Amidst this global frenzy of speculation where analysts pore over group stage overreactions and tactical formations, an entirely different kind of prognosticator has emerged from a corner of the academic world that rarely intersects with the raw emotion of the football pitch. This individual does not wear a team jersey, has never coached a professional squad, and does not spend his weekends analyzing video footage of corner kicks or penalty shootouts. Instead, his tools are spreadsheets, economic indicators, demographic statistics, and complex mathematical formulas that look at human behavior through a detached macro-level lens. He is a germ economist who somehow managed to achieve what the greatest minds in sports journalism and professional coaching have failed to do over the course of the last 12 years. Without any background in athletic training or football scouting, this data analyst correctly predicted the exact winner of the last 3 consecutive World Cup tournaments. A streak of accuracy that has left both the sporting world and the financial community utterly bewildered. It is a feat so statistically improbable that it defies the very laws of chance, transforming a routine academic exercise into a globally discussed sports prophecy. When he correctly identified the triumph of Germany on Brazilian soil in 2014, many dismissed it as a stroke of nationalistic luck or a fortunate guess aligned with a strong team. However, when his model subsequently defied popular sentiment to accurately pinpoint the victors of the following tournaments in 2018 and 2022, the skepticism began to give way to a sense of genuine awe and intense curiosity. Now, with his reputation firmly established as the man who cannot be wrong, the entire sporting world has turned its gaze toward his latest calculations for the 2026 tournament. Eager to see which footballing superpower his algorithm has anointed as the next ruler of the world stage. The true irony of this entire situation, and perhaps the most entertaining detail of this unfolding narrative, is that this flawless, predictive model was never actually designed to succeed in the way that it has. The creator of the model did not set out to become a legendary sports fortune teller, nor did he seek the immense pressure that now rests upon his shoulders with every passing game. In fact, his original motivation was completely antithetical to the concept of accurate sports forecasting, born out of a desire to critique his own profession rather than conquer the world of sports betting. He wanted to highlight a specific intellectual flaw that he believed ran rampant through the veins of modern economic theory, a phenomenon he described as the deep-seated hubris of contemporary economists. These are the professionals who frequently convince themselves that any complex, chaotic human endeavor can be completely tamed, managed, and forecasted if one simply applies enough data points and a sufficiently intricate mathematical model. To prove just how ridiculous and fundamentally flawed this overconfident mindset truly was, he decided to construct a model aimed at predicting the single most chaotic, emotionally driven, and unpredictable tournament on the planet, fully expecting the model to fail spectacularly and demonstrate the limitations of data. He wanted to show that a spreadsheet could never capture the soul of football, the sudden injuries, the refereeing errors, or the magic of individual genius that genuinely decides matches. But fate had a very different and highly amusing plan for his experiment, because the moment the wheels of his cynical model began to turn, it immediately started delivering flawless results. Thrusting an reluctant academic into the bright spotlights of international sports media. Now, as the 2026 tournament progresses, the tension surrounding his latest and most controversial prediction continues to escalate dramatically, especially following a highly unusual opening performance from the team he chose. The model has bypassed the traditional powerhouses that everyone expected to see at the top of the list, ignoring the obvious choices that dominate social media discussions and fan debates. It did not choose the reigning champions, nor did it align with the star-studded rosters of South American giants or the tactically supreme nations of Western Europe. Instead, the algorithm pointed its digital finger at a team that represents one of the most fascinating, tragic, and historically complex narratives in the entire history of international football, setting up a high-stakes psychological battle between mathematical data and historical precedent. As fans around the world debate whether this mathematical formula has finally met its match or if we are witnessing the continuation of an unbroken prophetic streak, the atmosphere remains thick with anticipation, leaving everyone to wonder if numbers can truly conquer the beautiful chaos of the World Cup. The mysterious German economist who accidentally became the ultimate oracle of international football is Joachim Klement, a highly respected investment strategist whose daily life revolves around financial markets, macroeconomic trends, and risk assessment rather than the strategic nuances of a pitch. When Klement initially sat down to compile his datasheets years ago, he was driven by a sense of professional irony, attempting to create a mathematical mirror that would reflect the limitations of economic forecasting. He wanted to demonstrate to his peers that just as you cannot perfectly predict stock market crashes or sudden inflationary spikes with cold data, you certainly cannot predict the outcome of a sports tournament where human emotion, sudden fatigue, weather conditions, and pure chance dictate reality. To achieve this, he engineered an algorithm that intentionally ignored the traditional metrics used by sports journalists, such as recent match statistics, individual player form, tactical formations, goal differentials, or the health of a star striker. Instead, Klement anchored his model in broader socioeconomic and demographic realities, looking at factors that speak to a country's foundational structure rather than its immediate athletic prowess. His formula examines a nation's gross domestic product per capita, arguing that economic wealth provides the infrastructure, training facilities, and youth academies necessary to cultivate world-class talent over generations. It looks at the absolute population size, recognizing that a larger human resource pool statistically increases the probability of discovering exceptional genetic outliers suited for elite sports. Crucially, the model also factors in the specific cultural status of football within that society, measuring how deeply the sport is woven into the national identity, which dictates public participation and institutional funding. Finally, it layers these elements with the national team's historical position in the official world rankings to establish a baseline of competitive consistency. When this unusual mixture of wealth, population, culture, and ranking was put to the test in 2014, it defied the chaos of the Brazilian tournament to correctly crown Germany. It repeated this uncanny feat by identifying France in 2018 and navigating the unpredictable landscape of the Winter Tournament in 2022 to correctly select Argentina. With 3 consecutive bullseyes to his name, Klement's model ceased to be a funny academic joke and transformed into a serious talking point for sportsbooks and football analysts worldwide, setting the stage for a massive wave of anticipation as the 2026 tournament approached. When the computational wheels turned for the 2026 World Cup, the global football community waited with bated breath, expecting the model to validate one of the obvious contemporary juggernauts. Traditionalists and odds makers assumed the algorithm would naturally spit out the star-studded roster of France, the historical brilliance of Brazil, the reigning tactical mastery of Spain, or perhaps a repeat performance from Argentina. Instead, the data synthesized these complex socioeconomic inputs and delivered a massive curveball that sent shockwaves through social media and sports talk shows alike. The model confidently predicted that the Netherlands would emerge as the ultimate champions of the 2026 World Cup, securing their victory by defeating Portugal in a highly dramatic and unexpected final match. This revelation immediately sparked a firestorm of debate, skepticism, and outright mockery across the internet, because selecting the Netherlands is the ultimate anti-favorite move. While the Dutch are universally acknowledged as an undeniable powerhouse in European football, possessing a rich lineage of legendary players, revolutionary tactical philosophies, and a fan base that paints entire stadiums bright orange, they are also defined by a tragic historical curse on the world stage. They are famously known as the greatest footballing nation to never win a World Cup, a team that has played some of the most beautiful and influential football in history only to fall agonizingly short at the final hurdle on 3 separate occasions. In 1974, 1978, and 2010. By predicting a Dutch triumph, Klement's model isn't just forecasting a sporting victory, it is actively predicting the shattering of a decades-old psychological barrier and a complete rewriting of football history, pitting cold economic data against a deeply entrenched national narrative of heartbreak. The skepticism surrounding this bold prophetic claim intensified almost immediately once the actual matches of the 2026 tournament got underway, providing critics with immediate ammunition to challenge the economist's computational wizardry. The Netherlands opened their highly anticipated campaign not with the dominant, authoritative statement of a future world champion, but with a highly erratic and stressful 2-2 draw against a resilient and tactically disciplined Japanese squad. For 90 minutes, the Dutch team looked vulnerable, struggling to control the midfield tempo and showing glaring defensive lapses that allowed their technical opponents to exploit open spaces and secure a thoroughly deserved point. To the millions of fans watching around the globe, this opening performance did not look like the genesis of a championship run. It looked like an exposed favorite stumbling under the weight of immense external expectations. Online forums, sports betting communities, and football pundits immediately flooded the digital landscape with reactionary commentary, using the draw as definitive proof that the model had finally reached its expiration date and was bound to be humbled. Many argued that while gross domestic product and population size looked pretty on an economic spreadsheet in a quiet office in London or Frankfurt, those numbers mean absolutely nothing when a team is defending a furious counterattack under the scorching heat and deafening noise of a packed stadium. The initial match highlighted the beautiful friction between theoretical data and the chaotic, raw reality of human sport, causing many to believe that the German economist's legendary streak was about to come to a definitive, unceremonious end. Yet despite the massive wave of public doubt and the immediate tactical struggles witnessed on the pitch, the shadow of Klement's previous successes continues to hang heavily over the entire 2026 tournament, creating an underlying current of psychological tension. Football history is filled with eventual champions who started their journeys with underwhelming, disjointed performances in the group stages, slowly finding their rhythm and cohesion as the pressure mounts. This slow burn is precisely what keeps the believers invested, as they argue that a single draw against a world-class opponent like Japan does not invalidate a model built on deep structural macroeconomic advantages. The tension is amplified by the fact that the predicted runner-up, Portugal, possesses their own highly complex and emotionally charged narrative, ensuring that every match involving either nation is analyzed through the lens of Klement's spreadsheet. Fans are left watching a fascinating dual reality, where every pass, every goal, and every refereeing decision is weighed against the mathematical prophecy of an economist who never wanted this specific fame in the first place. The narrative has transformed the 96 World Cup into something grander than a mere athletic tournament. It has become a grand trial of human predictability, where the collective pride of sports expertise is fighting to prove that the beautiful game cannot be reduced to a series of demographic metrics and financial data points. To truly understand the profound weight of this prediction and why it has captured the collective imagination of the global sporting community, one must look closely at the heroes of this narrative and the historical ghosts they are trying to exorcise on the pitch. The journey of the Netherlands national football team is one of the most romantic, innovative, and ultimately tragic sagas in all of sports history, making them a fascinating subject for a mathematical prophecy. In the 1970s, this small European nation revolutionized the sport by introducing the world to total football, a mesmerizing tactical philosophy where every outfield player could seamlessly rotate into any position, completely dismantling traditional defensive systems with fluid movement and artistic intelligence. Led by legendary icons who redefined the global game, the Dutch transformed football into an art form, yet their brilliance never yielded the ultimate prize, resulting in agonizing defeats in consecutive World Cup finals against host nations who managed to grind out victories through sheer willpower. Decades later, a golden generation fell just short once again in 2010, losing a brutal physical final in extra time to a legendary Spanish squad, cementing the Netherlands' reputation as the eternal runners-up of international sports. For the current roster of Dutch players navigating the pressure cooker environment of the 2026 tournament, this historical baggage is an invisible backpack they carry into every single stadium, a heavy legacy that can either crush a team's spirit or forge an unbreakable resolve to finally change the narrative. Their path through the current tournament is not merely about executing a tactical game plan or managing their physical conditioning, it is an intense psychological battle against their own country's sporting mythology, trying to prove that past heartbreaks do not dictate their future destiny. Opposing them in the predicted grand finale is Portugal, a nation with its own deeply dramatic footballing heritage, characterized by technical brilliance, individual genius, and a long-standing desire to step completely out of the shadows of traditional football empires. A final matchup between these two specific countries would be a historical masterpiece, a clash of styles, cultures, and emotional narratives that would turn the July 19th final into one of the most anticipated cultural events of the modern era. Meanwhile, as the drama unfolds across the immaculate pitches of the host cities, the man responsible for this global analytical firestorm finds himself in an incredibly surreal position that highlights the bizarre nature of modern internet fame. Joachim Klement has spent a significant portion of his professional life advising institutional investors, analyzing global market risks, and trying to bring rational clarity to the often irrational world of high finance. Yet, despite his impressive academic credentials and deep understanding of economic complexities, he is now recognized by millions of strangers not for his sophisticated market insights, but as the accidental wizard who holds the secret key to the world's biggest sporting event. This unexpected celebrity status has created a highly comical dynamic, as Klement has repeatedly and publicly pleaded with the public, sports enthusiasts, and eager bettors to stop treating his mathematical model like an infallible crystal ball. He has consistently maintained a grounded, humble perspective, openly admitting that his incredible streak of 3 consecutive correct predictions involves an immense amount of pure, unadulterated luck that no algorithm could ever genuinely quantify or guarantee. He points out that when 2 elite international squads face off in the knockout stages of a major tournament, the competitive margin between victory and defeat is often as thin as a single blade of grass, decided by an unpredictable deflection, an assistant referee's marginal offside call, or a sudden gust of wind. In Klement's view, his model is a structural guide that measures long-term foundational advantages, but it was never intended to strip the beautiful game of its essential human mystery. Nor should it be used to replace the joy of watching the drama unfold naturally on the pitch. His ongoing efforts to downplay his own prophetic status have ironically had the exact opposite effect on the internet, transforming him into a folk hero among fans who love the idea of a reluctant genius who beats the sports establishment at their own game without even trying. The fascinating conflict between Klement's macroeconomic data and the chaotic reality of live football raises profound questions about our modern obsession with predictive analytics and the quantifiable universe. We live in an era dominated by big data, advanced metrics, and artificial intelligence, where every aspect of human behavior, consumer choice, and athletic performance is constantly monitored, tracked, and simulated in an effort to eliminate risk and uncertainty. Sports broadcasts are now inundated with expected goals metrics, win probability percentages that shift wildly with every passing minute, and endless streams of data points designed to give viewers a sense of total analytical control over the chaos. Yet, the enduring magic of the World Cup lies precisely in its stubborn refusal to conform to a pre-written digital script, as 22 human beings push their bodies and minds to the absolute limit under unimaginable psychological pressure. A spreadsheet cannot measure the sudden rush of adrenaline that causes a seasoned veteran to miss a crucial penalty kick, nor can a country's gross domestic product account for the sheer irrational inspiration that allows a young substitute to score a breathtaking goal from 40 yards out. If Klement's model defies the odds once again on July 19th and the Netherlands finally lift the golden trophy, it will be celebrated as an unprecedented triumph of structural data analysis, proving that long-term socioeconomic foundations exert a powerful unseen gravitational pull on athletic success. Conversely, if the model is finally humbled by a surprise outsider or an established powerhouse, it will serve as a beautiful, comforting reminder that sports will always belong to the realm of human passion, unpredictability, and spontaneous magic. As the countdown to the grand finale continues and the remaining teams prepare for the high-stakes battles that lie ahead, the world remains utterly captivated by this unique intersection of cold economics and raw human drama. Whether you are a devoted fan of the tactical brilliance of the Dutch, a believer in the mathematical inevitability of the German economist's spreadsheet, or a romantic purist who wants to see the data proven completely wrong, there is no denying that this narrative has added an extra layer of fascination to an already historic tournament. The ultimate answers are waiting for us on the pitch, where history will be written not in ink or code, but in sweat, tears, and unforgettable moments of athletic brilliance. We want to hear your thoughts on this incredible analytical showdown, so please leave a comment below letting us know if you believe the Netherlands will finally break their historic curse and validate the model, or if this is the year the data falls apart. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned as we follow this fascinating story all the way to the final whistle, and we will see you in our next deep dive into the hidden forces shaping the world of sports.